Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I bring you news from the third front, that being the southern border with our neighbor Mexico, the first front being Iraq, the second front being Afghanistan. We're engaged in three conflicts, three wars, and the third front is our conflict on the border war with the drug cartels. The $40 billion a year illicit drug trade in Mexico has resulted in a vicious wave of violence in northern Mexico and the United States. President Calderon of Mexico has said in the last few years 23,000 Mexicans have been killed and murdered on the streets of Mexico. To put it in perspective, that is over twice the murder-homicide rate in the United States. Recently, there were 2 incursions by Mexican military helicopters across the Texas-Mexico border into the United States, and their intentions are still unknown. Those incursions apart. Some here in Washington question whether these astonishing reports of Mexican military helicopters actually were true. Well, here's a photograph, Mr. Speaker, that was taken by some individuals in Zapata County, Texas. That is on the border with Mexico. This is an RV park, and this is one of those Mexican military helicopters. It's a Russian-made, built helicopter. It has the word Marine on the side, that being the Mexican Navy's helicopter. And this photograph was taken by more than one individual. Photographs of the first incursion were also taken. And the question remains, why is the Mexican military helicopter coming into the United States, and why is our government silent about their intention? We do not know. You know, the international criminal drug cartels are just that. They're international. They're connected to terrorist organizations worldwide, and they make their money selling drugs to fund their narco-terrorism. Which begs the question, why are Americans allowing Mexican military helicopters to invade our airspace? I wish we had an answer from our government. Are they protecting drug shipments into the United States? We don't know. Are they doing something else? We don't know. This photograph, by the way, this helicopter is over 2 miles into the United States. The Texas-Mexico border is not like Arizona and New Mexico and California. There's a river in between. It's hard to miss the river when you fly over it. So it's obviously not a mistake on the part of whoever's flying this helicopter. You know, the primary duty of government is to protect the people. But the federal government, our government's gotten so big and stuck its nose in so many places it doesn't belong, it's no longer, in my opinion, performing its primary duty, protecting the people. Congress seems to be a little bit more concerned about steroids in baseball than they are concerned about protecting our border from people who come across without permission. At the El Paso sector of the Border Patrol in Texas, our agents now are being targeted by the Azteca hitman of the Juarez drug cartel. What that means is this. The Juarez drug cartel is bringing dope into the United States. Our Border Patrol is doing an excellent job, best that we will let them do, of preventing that from occurring. So they have hired their own hitman, the Azteca hitman, to target our Border Patrol agents. Our Border Patrol agents have a $250,000 bounty on their head for being Border Patrol agents, for trying to do their job. And that's they are being targeted for kidnapping or murder. It makes no difference. I think that ought to upset some of us here in Washington, D.C. You know, the Azteca gang works for the Juarez drug cartel. They protect drug shipments that are brought into the United States. It gets bad down in Texas on the Texas-Mexico border. I recently asked a Texas Ranger, I said, what's it like after dark on the Texas-Mexico border? And he made this comment, it gets Western. That's right, Mr. Speaker, it gets Western. It's like the Old West shootouts. You know, we've heard about all the shootings in northern Mexico, and it's only a matter of time before they shoot their way across the border into the United States. This is serious, this is violent, and it's being perpetrated by the drug cartels against Americans, both in Mexico and the United States, but it's also being perpetrated against Mexican nationals that live in Mexico. You know, we shouldn't wait till something worse happens before we do something about it. It's important that we protect the dignity of our nation because it's the first duty of government to protect the people of the United States. We should be sending the National Guard down to the border. This has been talked about before, but yet nothing has happened. The Texas governor and other state governors have asked that the National Guard be deployed on the border. Why not? It's interesting, Mr. Speaker, we protect the borders of other nations with our military, but we don't protect our own border with the National Guard. The question is, why not? You know, it's the time that we act, otherwise we delay at our own peril, Mr. Speaker, and that's just the way it is. I yield back.